Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Today Annie and I are reviewing Hell House LLC, the Trilogy.
Dum dum dum.
So we're getting kind of into the spooky season. We're about a little over a month from Halloween. And this is a group of movies that are centered around a Halloween attraction, but a haunted Halloween attraction, a real haunted Halloween attraction. So let's start with the first one. Hell House LLC. It was written and directed by Stephen Cagnetti, and it runs at 1 hour 33 minutes. And the premise behind it is a group of Hell House LLC is the name of a company that sets up haunted attractions at different places, mostly centered around New York City. And for some reason, they've decided to set up this year in a small rural town in Rockland County, New York, at the Abaddon Hotel. And it's not giving anything away because this is the premise of the movie. But on the opening night of the attraction, a tragedy happens and 15 people die. And the cause of the deaths is suspicious. It's never really explained to the public. And so 5 years, the tragedy takes place in 2009. So 5 years later, a documentary crew have decided that they want to find out more, to dig behind the scenes. And they are able to contact one surviving crew member, and this person gives them found footage of everything that transpired and explains exactly what went terribly wrong at this attraction. So, the first one I thought was fantastic.
It was excellent. I'm a big fan of found footage anyways. I know that people, either you love or you hate found footage. So generally speaking, I love found footage. There are a ton of horrible, literally a ton, you think, of horrible found footage movies out there. However, this one, Hell House LLC, is like a gem, I think, in the vast field of found footage movies. When we discovered that movie on Shudder, is how we watched it on the Shudder streaming service, it was like a breath of fresh air. It is found footage done absolutely,
and it's an independent
right.
film as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I liked it so much that I was like, is this movie available on DVD? And I found out that they came out with like an extended version, so I ordered the extended version that has like a few extra moments or something extra material. But it's one of those movies that I can actually watch over and over again,
and we have
pretty close to each other. You know, it's really creepy. It when the found footage, when we start breaking it down, and the found footage starts out when the crew first gets there. The characters, Alex, Sarah, Mac, Tony, and Paul, and these actors are actually, they make you believe these are realistic characters. And
you definitely feel like you're watching found footage. It's
exactly.
Not like, you don't feel like you're watching a movie that's found footage. It actually seems like found footage.
Right, and it starts from the beginning of when the crew, Alex is the CEO of Hell House LLC, and the rest of the crew they're kind of baffled why they're setting up in this rural town when they've been opening all these years in the big city. And even from the beginning of the found footage, once they get inside the hotel and night falls, all the creepiness starts happening. And I mean, there are some genuinely creepy moments in this movie. And it's just one of those where it's so fun to like you'll see something and like did I just see something where you can rewind it and sure enough there's something there and it's creepy, and it's just it is such a, I don't know, I really enjoy this one.
It's a really fun movie to watch if especially if you like looking for things in the background, if you like looking for subtle nuances, hearing whispers, seeing shadows, or just a really quick glimpse of a some kind of a ghost or a creature or whatever. It's really, really fun. Also, I think the characters are likable. So many times nowadays, it seems like you start watching a movie where there's a group of people, a group of friends, and they all are so annoying that they drive you nuts, and you can't wait for them to get plucked off one by one.
Right.
And this movie, the characters are normal. They're not annoying.
Right.
They're just like regular people, very convincing and very believable characters.
Well, even if they're annoying, it's because they're annoyed by something, They're,
right.
They're
right.
And when they hire, like the LLC, you have the core group, but then when they hire some of the locals to be actors in the show, one of them makes the comment, "Oh, you didn't hear you've never heard the legend of the Abaddon Hotel and everything," and she relates the backstory, which about Andrew Tully, who was believed to be Satan worshiper, and
was the previous owner.
He was the previous owner of the Abaddon Hotel, and terrible things transpired when he was the owner, and the haunting of this place is the creeps that are in this place are just excellent. And especially if you like creepy clowns, you're going to have an exceptionally creepy clown in this movie.
Yeah, if creepy clowns freak you out, if there's something that you can't handle it, then just forget it. Forget the whole thing. Right. But if you like that, then definitely go for it.
But I mean, there's just like when you see even like the footage that's supposed to be from the news crews that were there when the original opening night tragedy happened, and they're interviewing people, and people are running out screaming for their lives and everything. There is a sense of realism to it, just how people are acting, and they did such a good job of it's a really good cast.
Super entertaining.
It
reminded me a lot of and I'm kind of showing my age with this one, but remember when the Blair Witch Project first came out, and Sci-Fi Channel did that documentary,
Curse of the Blair Witch.
Yeah, where and then they aired it, and this was like people that were watching it, we were kind of like, well, is this real? Because it actually seemed real. Right. And then they aired that at the same time that they had let the Blair Witch Project out in a limited release. When it very first came out, Blair Witch Project couldn't be seen everywhere. You had to go, to these little indie theaters or whatever and pick it up and watch it there. And they released that sci-fi special at the same time, and it just really added a level of authenticity to the movie that made it that much more creepy to go watch. And I think this Hell House LLC, the first one, really was very similar to that Sci-Fi Channel documentary that they aired, to go along with the Blair Witch movie. It was really, really good, really well done. Right,
because you're following a documentary crew that's investigating this tragedy that happened 5 years before in 2009, and then you're with the documentary crew when things start happening to them as well. But yeah, I can't emphasize how creepy some of the scenes are.
And it's not gory, really.
No,
there's
not
no
so
gore.
Much.
There's no blood splatter stuff. I mean, it's not anything like that. The horror in it, for the most part, is subtle, but very effective at the same time.
Right. But talking about that Curse of the Blair Witch, the Curse of the Blair Witch little documentary was way better than the movie, I thought. Blair Witch.
Yeah.
I mean, Blair Witch is entertaining overall, the sounds and stuff that you hear outside
I have
the tent.
a soft spot in my heart for the Blair Witch, though, because it ushered in the wave of the found footage movies, and that's one of my favorite subgenres of horror. Is found footage.
I mean, for the most part, I really, really like found footage movies.
So the first one, absolutely good.
Excellent.
Definitely give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And like we said, we watched it on Shudder, and Shudder is really inexpensive. It's $4.99 a month, I think, is what it is. So it's a streaming service. If you don't have it already, you can look into it. I think we get it through the Xbox, but you can also get it through Amazon Prime, I think, can't you? Or
you can get it video on demand, Amazon Video, YouTube on demand, Vudu, and iTunes.
There you go.
So, okay. So, moving on to Hell House LLC 2, the Abaddon Hotel. And as I previously said, one of the locals brings it to the attention of Alex, the CEO of Hell House, that the Abaddon Hotel has a past, an urban legend around it about Andrew Tully that was involved with Satanism. People disappeared. Bad things happened while he owned this hotel. And so, this one takes place, 8 years after the tragedy, and so that means 3 years have passed since the first movie. And people are still disappearing. YouTubers, people that are going in there to make videos about their that are being dared to go into the haunted hotel, go in and are never seen again.
I think that's a really fun aspect of it, because we can all relate to the YouTube channels that have, paranormal content on them, or like all the huge influx and rise of paranormal shows on Travel Channel, like with Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, and the Destination America channel has like 10,000. I mean, you can't shake a stick without whacking up a ghost hunting show. They're so popular right now, and that definitely plays on that trend of haunted places, and how it's really common for people to go and do like live streams from them and film from them.
Yeah. So basically, when this movie opens up, one of the only, well, I'm not going to give away anything as far as spoilers like that. There's one of the members of the documentary crew in the first movie is on a show called Morning Mysteries, and he, the local like councilman of
like a city official.
Yeah, a city official has basically said all of the found footage that the documentary crew revealed is all a hoax, and there's nothing wrong with this hotel. They're just bringing trouble to the town and everything. And Mitchell Cavanaugh, one of the crew members of the documentary crew from the first movie, he wants to know what has happened to his documentary crew. They have vanished.
They went into the hotel.
And never seen again. People are still disappearing. He just wants to know the truth. And there's another investigative reporter, Jessica Fox, who gets an anonymous tip that there is indeed key evidence inside the hotel itself that will explain everything. And even though the police watch this hotel every day to make sure nobody is supposed to be getting in, they still want answers. And this investigative reporter, she assembles a crew with the Mitchell Cavanaugh, who's one of the crew members, I said, from the original documentary, and they decide to break in to find this key evidence, and things again
go horribly
wrong.
They also have a side, kind of a side story in the second movie about there's a family being interviewed, a mother, and her son has gone missing. He was like kind of one of the YouTubers or one of the people that went on a dare just to check it out, and he's gone missing also. And so she's talking about her family's experience and what's happened since her son's gone missing, and the activity surrounding what happened with her son. And that's really compelling too, I think. It's a really good storyline.
And it kind of starts opening up another branch where you kind of get the idea that things have been going on for a long time, not just since this tragedy happened, or even with Andrew Tully.
Well, the whole town, basically.
With the whole town.
They say one of the remarks that they make in the first movie is, for being such a small town, Abaddon really embraces Halloween. And when they say that, you're kind of like, okay, something's up with this town.
All right. And this story, again, was written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. This one is 1 hour and 29 minutes. The first movie came out in 2015. This one came out in 2018. And again, they do a really good job. This cast of actors, they're believable. I don't know, it just kind of, to me, it wasn't as good as the first movie, but it was good, really still entertaining. I did enjoy it very much. I highly recommend, again, seeing that one. The first two, it's nice if you just want to watch a good, creepy couple of movies. Again, especially as Halloween season approaches, because it's a Halloween attraction that goes terribly wrong.
Yeah, I think the second one is pretty close to being as good as the first one. Not quite, but it's still a really well done, and I would recommend it easily. I think they definitely take the strengths from the first movie, and they use those again in the second movie. The only thing maybe is that the cast, you're not quite as invested in them. They're just kind of getting together themselves in the first or in the second movie, whereas the cast from the first movie, they are already friends, so there's a camaraderie with them, and you kind of feel that in the first movie. In the second movie, you're a little bit more detached, I think, from the characters than in the first one.
You have the investigative reporter, who she's the one that gets the anonymous tip that they'll find all the answers in a certain place inside the hotel. You have Mitchell Cavanaugh, who, again, the actor, you don't see him in the first movie, but
he's a character. You hear his name, but you don't see him.
You hear his name.
He's operating the camera. That's why.
But this one, you see him. He's invested because he wants to find out what has happened to the rest of his crew. You have a psychic.
Yeah, he's kind of comical.
Yeah, and he's actually kind of likable too, because he's one of those, I knew you were going to say that type things.
Right.
But he's actually pretty likable. And his partner, and then you have the investigative reporter, her personal crew, which is her assistant and the cameraman.
Too. They're all likable.
They're really likable. And again, it's just one of those things where they do the thing, did I just see what I thought I saw, or what was that, and then other times where it's like, it's right there, and it's, again, super creepy. I enjoyed it a great deal.
It was good. So that, we were really excited when I found out that they were doing a third one, Hell House
3
LLC Lake of Fire.
And again, the first one came out 2015. Hell House 2 came out 2018, and this one just came out like a week ago, right?
On the 19th.
On the 19th
of this month of September.
So, and man, we
were pumped to watch it.
Honestly, I mean, if you watched the previous review about It Chapter 2, I was psyched to see It Chapter 2, but I can honestly tell you that I was even more excited about seeing this one, just because I had enjoyed the first two so much. And again, they did it to me again, dude. It was such a letdown. And it was
disappointing.
What was surprising about it is I went back to see, I was like, they must have got a different director or somebody else wrote this. And surprisingly enough, Stephen Cognetti wrote and directed this one. And it is just, I don't know if they rushed it, like if they were under pressure to get another one out or what, but it is
it's totally different.
Completely different.
It's a completely different feel. It's a completely different type of movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to say that it's the same, that it's found footage and everything, but it's...
Well, the storyline behind this one is Russell Wynn, who's like a billionaire type of Elon Musk type of fella, he has this show that's apparently a big hit everywhere called Insomnia, which
is like a theater thing.
Like an audience interactive theater. And he's decided for some reason that he wants to open this up inside this reportedly haunted hotel. And it's one of those things where it's supposed to be set up where like a small group of audience goes from room to room following these actors as they're performing this type of play.
It definitely has more of a movie feel, like you're watching a movie, not watching...
Well, the actors are...
The acting's kind of cringeworthy.
They did so well with the casting of the first two movies. Like, these people were pretty believable, and these people feel like actors playing actors. And I mean, it's like... It's almost cringe-worthy, man. Just watching them act.
Yeah.
And anyways, also the premise of it is this Russell Wynn, besides having this show, he wants there's a new host of the Morning Mysteries show, and he wants her to bring her crew in for a behind the scenes of the production of this Insomnia. And, to follow them along as they produce this interactive play. And, again, things
go terribly wrong.
But another major difference in the feel of the first two movies is, like I said, one of the best things about, like, a point of view is looking for the little things here and there. Did I just see that? What was that? Was that it? And in this, basically, you'll have somebody talking, and all of a sudden, here comes something walking behind them. It's like, oh yeah, there's something
not subtle.
And you might as well have the creepy clown going, "Hey, how's it going?" as it goes by, and it's just... Yeah,
it's not the
I don't
same.
know what the runtime of that is, but it's like 78 minutes or 89 minutes.
It was 89 minutes,
okay, 89
I think
minutes.
I remember. And this is the thing, I liked the first two movies so much that I ended up liking their Facebook page and following, the Facebook page for them, for Hell House LLC. So I knew when the third one was coming out, really, really excited for it. What we didn't know, and this is not a spoiler, because they're talking about it openly on their Facebook page, but you will see also when you watch the show toward the end. But I mean, like I said, because it's well known on their Facebook page, this is not a spoiler in my opinion anyways. Basically what this movie is doing is setting them up to make a television series called The Abaddon Tapes. And they use the whole movie to set you up for the Abaddon Tapes. I did like the idea of having a series called the Abaddon Tapes because I enjoyed the first two movies so much, and I like the way they kind of moved into that at the end, which I won't spoil for you, but I did, I'm intrigued by that, and I liked the first two movies enough that I would definitely check out the series once it goes, or becomes live or whatever, it goes up. But I think they could have just done the Abaddon Tapes without making us watch this movie first, which wasn't very good.
It wasn't good.
It just wasn't very good.
It was, well, I mean, that is one of the things, maybe one of the plus signs of this, is they kind of delve a little bit deeper into making you realize that there's something more going on in this town besides the Abaddon Hotel.
Right.
And
they also say that they have found these tapes,
right.
that they have found, like, literally, hundreds of tapes of all these different people who have had encounters in the Abaddon Hotel. So that's going to be the source material for the television series, for the Abaddon Tapes show. But again, they could have just told us that at the beginning of the show. They didn't have to make this bad movie.
I just wish
first.
they would have. Again, I don't know if they were under pressure to kick out a movie again before Halloween a year later or what, but this movie just feels completely different. It feels completely off, and it's
got a lot of blood in it, and there's some scenes in it that I think towards the end that almost seem like slasher movie type scenes, and they don't fit with the other two.
Well,
and I don't think that's a spoiler either.
Too, like you said, though, it's the first two movies, these people, the crew and that you're following around are actually pretty likable.
They're likable.
This movie, hardly anybody in the movie. Maybe the host of Morning Mysteries or whatever.
She actually was the only one, and I kept saying she's the only acting person.
Yeah, she actually is halfway
believable
as this character, but the rest of these people are just like, you're like, well,
who cares? Who cares?
But it's just, it has such, hopefully the Abaddon Tapes will happen, but if not, to cap off this trilogy of movies, they should have just spent more time and come up with a better storyline or something.
Well, and that was my issue, and I was actually thinking about this earlier, is if they use the third movie as a introduction to the series of the Abaddon Tapes, and at the end of the movie, you definitely know that they're moving into that direction. They make it be clear. Again, no spoilers on how they do that, but they make it clear. And I think to myself, because I'm on their Facebook page, and what they want, they're encouraging everybody, please go on Shudder and write us a good review. They want Shudder to really know that the fans appreciate that movie, so that Shudder will approve the Abaddon Tapes. And I'm like, or pick it up. And I'm thinking, so if you haven't even made these Abaddon Tapes, you're waiting to get the approval on them. Yet you ended the movie on the note of basically to be continued in the Abaddon Tapes. Then what if they never do make the Abaddon Tapes? And
right.
It just, you're like, the audience is left hanging. I hate when they do things like that.
And the first two movies to me are just so enjoyable.
They are very enjoyable.
I love it when you can find movies like this where you can kind of just get so wrapped up in it and then rewind it, and watch it. And I mean, we literally have watched these movies. The first one we've watched like 3 or 4 times within a year?
Yeah.
Maybe not even, a year. The second we've watched 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
This one, I don't know if I ever want to watch it again. I mean, the third one, it was just, it was that bad. And that makes me, it was that bad, and it makes me that sad.
It does, because the first two were so enjoyable. They were super, super good. I would recommend those first 2 movies in a heartbeat. Yeah. And if you're a horror fan, you know what it's like when you're a horror fan. We wade our way through some crap movies. I mean, there are some really
movies
bad,
that have been so bad that they make you mad,
and you're like, I'll never get that hour and a half back, and it's so wasted. So when you do find one that's low budget, indie, and it's wonderful, it's like it makes you so happy.
And you want to support it as much as you can.
Absolutely.
And I highly recommend watching the first 2. But
and then once you watch the first 2, you're gonna watch the third anyway.
Yeah,
so just know going in to not expect the same level of awesomeness that the first 2 have.
But I mean, I was just thinking though, when I was looking it up, I'm like, well, maybe they sold the rights to somebody else. You know how they do that, and then somebody comes in and decides to write it and direct it or whatever. But it's not. It's the same writer and director through all of it, and
But the first two are great. The first two are great, and I think super, super creepy, super fun to watch this time of year, especially.
Yeah.
Especially if you're somebody that likes to go to haunted attractions.
Yep.
You're really gonna like that. You know, that kind of behind the scenes look at how they set one up, but yeah, they're dealing with their own haunting going on while they're trying to create a haunting.
Oh, let me add this too, because I actually found this out. It was kind of interesting, but when they were trying to decide where to film this movie, and they kept looking for a house, and they didn't find what they wanted. They actually came across in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. They actually found a real haunted attraction called The Haunting at the Waldorf Hotel, and it's ran by Angie Moyer, and she also wound up becoming the set designer for the Hell House LLC movies. And I mean, it's
very authentic. It's
really, really creepy inside of the house. But then that was also one of the cheesiest things about the third movie, is because they're supposed to, this guy's a billionaire, and he's setting up this interactive audience thing going on inside of the hotel, and yet it looks exactly the same.
Or it has white sheets hung around everywhere.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, gotta go, folks. But again, check them out. Especially the first two. The
first two are great.
Third one you can make up your own mind about, but this is, yeah.
But the third one wasn't so bad that it took away my love for the first two.
Right,
still
right.
love those.
You'll still want to
They're
watch
excellent.
the first two, and we had a ton of fun. Boy, that sounds stupid.
But it's true. We loved it.
We had a ton of fun with the first two movies and everything, and I do hope the Abaddon tapes happen. But yeah. So thanks for joining us. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing, and we appreciate you. So,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for having Annie.
See you soon.
See ya. Bye.